how's it going, everyone? This is, to forgive the audio quality of this go, I am using a different body, and I am still working on getting a microphone adapter for it. But today I've gonna do a batch of reviews. I've had a few on the bench for a while, and I need to get that taken care of. So today we're starting with a dive watch that I got in a few weeks ago. I've long worn, let's see if I can get this to focus up. Oh boy. There we go. So, this shark diver, which has a certain brutalist aesthetic to it, even though it has a lot of case lines in common with an Oyster Maxi case. But if we get back to this guy, this is the Sinn U50, which in my mind in many ways is pretty similar in that kind of blasted finish with a fairly minimalist look. But this is the, I'll forgive, I think it's either the SDR or the SBR, but that's the black bezel. It's the fully tegmented watch, so you'll see throughout. When we zoom in, little line or little markings on the cases like that. But this is the successor in many ways to the Sinn U1, not successor but sister watch to the Sinn U1. Let me just set it down and refocus so we can talk for a minute without me concentrating. But yeah, so this is in many ways a successor to the Sinn U1, or not a successor in the sense that the other one's going away, but it's a later development. It takes the case down to like a 41 by 48 millimeter. You can look the specs up. You can look the specs up online. It's not really what this review's for. We'll be putting the macro lens on in a minute. But it's a very thin watch at around 11 mil thick. Very minimal. It's running the SW300, which is the reason why we have that kind of thinness. But it's a great watch. We'll zoom in. I'll talk about some of the pros and cons I've had while wearing it. But I've been overall pretty impressed. So let me just get everything repositioned, and we will jump in with some macro looks. Alright, so here's the Sinn U50 dial. You can see we have kind of the hallmark U1 style Lego brick hands. I unfortunately had to film this at a terrible time. Oh, this is going to get powered down, so let me just adjust the hands real quick. We got the Lego brick style hands with the little pips on the ends to help align with, or help you more accurately see the time. It's got this 430 crown, which is a little finicky to get in, but does make it stay out of the way, which is appreciated. You can see we have this bright red second hand with white accents. The white accents are loomed. All the white on this dial is loomed. It's an interesting loom. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But you have U50 automatic, and then 500 meter 50 bar. This, if we flip it over, let's see if I can get a good shot here. There we go. So we have Deutscher U-Boot-Stahl, which obviously my German's pretty terrible, but German submarine steel. So this is a submarine steel watch, fully tegimented. That's what the U50 500 meter and that logo below 500 meter, right there, is the Tegiment logo. The other text says seawater resistance, Seewasser beständig. the model and serial number, and then Sinn. You have a signed crown, hole spring bars, holes for the spring bars. The clasp, this is a fully tegimented watch, you pay a little extra for that, but that means the bracelet's fully tegimented. I've worn this watch pretty extensively, and as you can see, the bracelet doesn't have any scuffs on it. It's just a fold over with the Omega style friction release dive extension. Let's see, there we go. So, stamped outside, machined inside, it's fine, it works, no complaints on my part. Alright. So back to the, clean the crystal real quick. It does have AR on both sides, so, I've got some pretty bright lights on, you can see, it doesn't mind it at all, there's no real glare. If I can get it to stand up, there we go. So SW300, so that's it. It's the Solida's version of a 2893, which gives it that thinness. The tegiment means that it's surface hardened, so you get that shell of hard steel around a mild steel, highly anti-corrosion resistant because it's submarine steel, so it's optimized for corrosion resistance, although that surface hardening reduces that slightly. But it does give, like if you've ever handled any other German watch, it gives it a very smooth feeling when you touch it. It's almost like titanium, but less sticky feeling, if you understand what I'm saying. If you've handled titanium, you probably do. It's a pretty stock watch. There's not a whole lot going on. The bezel is a 60 click. It shares the Omega Seamaster's propensity for being a little hard to grip without gloves on, although ironically compared to the Seamaster it is much easier to grip with gloves on. Let's see what else. The loom, yeah, let's talk about the loom real quick. Let's see if I can get this to give you a loom shot. We'll give it a whirl. The loom on it is, people describe it, Sinn is famous for having mediocre loom. This is not a significant departure from that. There we go. Yeah, that shows up nicely. So this is not a significant departure from that loom. You can see it's plenty bright when you charge it. When you walk in from being outside in the sun, it's very legible. But it does. It's what a lot of people call exactly enough and no more. A lot of military field units. I'm in a military back unit. We're not normally a frontline unit, and so for me, more loom the better. I'd like to be able to see because I'm going in and out of buildings and tents and other lighted areas a lot. Frontline units don't want too much loom because they don't want to be showing their position to the enemy accidentally if their watch pops out from a cuff. So this is exactly the right amount of loom you need. You can read it all night, no problem. Read it at 5 in the morning, no problem. The longevity is great. If you just wear it on your wrist, like while you brush your teeth in front of the vanity with a light on, that's just enough to get it boosted up so it's clearly legible all night. You can see it's doing just fine. Let me compare that to the Helsinn, which is the loom junkie watch in my collection. Got these kind of scooted next to each other. So you can see the Helsinn is significantly brighter. Got some really good legibility here. But this is still perfectly adequate, not like it's missing anything at all. Let me get this rotated around so you can see. One of the QC niggles on this watch is that the alignment is just a little off on the loom pip for the bezel, but it's pretty close. There we go. So you can see I'll get them as side by side as I can, but yeah, definitely not Seiko bright. But to me, this is pretty much the perfect bar for a minimum, meets minimum specifications. But we'll get the lights back on and then we'll finish up our discussion. Alright, we're back up with the lights and just do some wrap up. One thing I didn't mention, you can kind of see here, is that the one perk of that kind of minimum necessary amount of lume is that it is blindingly bright white during the light. It's not exactly what I'd call a C1 because the longevity is really good, so I don't really know what formulation they use. But it's, yeah, but no complaints. Really, this watch to me is kind of the perfect, you know, nothing exciting, but no complaints. Like, it's perfectly legible, does exactly what I need it to do. It's very durable, especially with the tegimented case. You know, not a mark on the watch. The double AR, you know, the front AR will eventually start to wear, but that's fine. I don't notice that usually. I mean, unless you're hunting for it, it's not that obnoxious. And eventually that'll just wear all the way off, and then we'll just have a single AR. But for now, I'm enjoying the inky blackness of the see-through with the double AR. It just comes with a standard Sinn box. Just feel free to look up any. I had it kind of propped off to the side in the beginning of the video, but just feel free to look up any review to see the box. They're the same for every single place, or every single model. So, yeah, I wore it a lot on a rubber strap. I wore it some on this bracelet. Very comfortable. Wore it pretty much every day. It ran excellent. Once it settled in, it was running about, I'd say about +4 on wrist, and then this movement is pretty easy to regulate. I would put a crown up at night, and doing that would slow the watch down significantly, and I could get an average of about +2 a day, including that that night regulation off wrist, which to me is pretty perfect. So yeah, excellent watch. Thanks for watching. Like I said, bear with me here with the new camera setup, but we'll hopefully get some nice close-up shots and lume shots this way. So have a great night, and I'll catch you next time.